We'll call the September 19, 2024 Reno County Planning Commission to order. Staff, will you please call the roll?
Shorttrager.
Here.
Tran. Here. Schaefer.
Here.
Seltzer. Here. Macklin. Here. Martin. Here. Gertson.
Here. Welcome, everyone. I trust that you've all had a chance to review the packets, in those packets for the minutes from the August 15th meeting. Chair will entertain a motion on those.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from August 15th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. The Kansas Supreme Court has defined a conditional use permit public hearing as a quasi-judicial function to ensure the rights of all parties of interest and to provide an opportunity for each party to address the Planning Commission in an orderly manner. The Planning Commission will follow the fact-finding procedure which is outlined in the handout in each chair. Your attention to this procedure is appreciated. If a recommendation is made tonight, that recommendation will be based upon the record of information presented to the Planning Commission. The County Commissioners will not conduct a separate public hearing or accept additional written documents. The County Commissioners will consider written requests for additional public comment or documents based only on valid claims that the public hearing process was incomplete or based on new information which has become available since a public hearing. For purposes of this County Commission policy, a public hearing is considered incomplete only if the Planning Commission failed to follow its procedural guidelines, which resulted in a denial of due process to a party of interest, or if the Planning Commission failed to allow an interested party an opportunity for public comment. For purposes of the County Commission policy, new information shall pertain only to germane information which did not exist at the time of the public hearing, or which was unknown or could not have been discovered with reasonable diligence. An example may be a traffic study completed after the Planning Commission recommendation. The Planning Commission recommendation to the County Commissioners will be accompanied by a summary of proceedings before the Planning Commission at its public hearing, along with a report and recommendations of the County Planner, letters, informal petitions, and other information constituting the record of proceedings provided to the Planning Commission before and during the public hearing. If the Planning Commission makes a recommendation after tonight's public hearing, this case will be presented to the County Commissioners at their next available meeting after the protest period expires. Contact planning staff or visit the website for the County Commissioner agenda items. Any party who wishes to require the County Commissioners decide this case by supermajority vote may file a protest petition pursuant to KSA 12-757 at the office of the Reno County Clerk, 125 West 1st Avenue, Hutchinson, Kansas, within 14 days following the decision by the Planning Commission. This form is on the Reno County website, Planning Department webpage. I'll now formally open the public hearing regarding case number 2024-11, a request by Andrew Beachy for a conditional use permit to bring an existing construction company and minor vehicle repair business into compliance with zoning regulations on land zoned R1, Rural Residential District. The property is located at 3108 West 17th Avenue. Have any Planning Commission members had any outside contacts regarding this case?
No. I drove out, looked at it. That's it.
Okay. Do any Planning Commission members have, had any outside contacts regarding this case?
No.
In that case, will the applicant please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record? You have 10 minutes to present your case. Additional time may be allotted to the applicant at the discretion of the chair. Planning Commission members may request clarification at the end of your presentation or may have questions.
My name is Andrew Beachy, and to get this permit, a commercial permit for an existing building or business to work on their vehicles and mostly storage places for them. And, yeah, I'm not sure what else, what y'all need to know or what. I don't have any much to say.
So it's been some time ago, I think 2021 is what I read, that you came before this board with for the ability to build this shed. And it looks like since that time that maybe your situation has changed. So what business you're running? A vehicle repair shop, or you running anything else out of this business?
Construction business.
Construction business also?
A post-frame construction building.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like vehicle maintenance for other people, it's just for within the company's truck maintenance and stuff. Repairs.
So your vehicle repair business is to repair your company vehicles, no outside
Right.
customers or whatever? Now, when they approved, we approved that building back in '21, and it was approved as a residential auxiliary building. And I assume at the time, this board, you explained to you what that allowed you to do in that building as a residential building rather than a commercial building. You couldn't operate a business out of it. So, I mean, it's, apparently you decided to do that anyway, whether or not you remember that you were not supposed to be doing that out of a residential building or whatever. So, I mean, it's, what's the deal on that? Do you have any remarks on that?
We needed a storage place mostly. And as time grew on, it just kind of turned into more of a storage space and then turned into a workshop, a little bit more of a workshop than, it wasn't originally planned to be this far along, like storage, whatever. And, but yeah, it just kind of grew from there.
How long has your construction company been in operation?
2019. Yeah.
So it predates the previous approval for construction of this building, is that right?
Predates.
Yeah. The construction company?
Yeah, it was going before the, yeah.
So where was that office in 2021?
Just residential. We didn't have that much materials since before that, but it's just like, I don't know. One of my partner's place out in Arlington. This was a small place, but it was, yeah.
So the construction company was headquartered in Arlington prior to 2021, is that right?
Yeah.
When did it move to west side of Hutch?
About 2020, I think it went, 2020 or 19 or something when I moved to Hutch.
Before the construction of this building?
Yeah.
What kind of activity happens around your yard and around this building related to your construction company?
Not a whole lot of activity, just mostly, for one of the other main reasons was for guys to show up at the shop to get into company vehicles and like leave for the job sites again. So and so that's about most of the traffic there. but it's not, it's just morning and evening. And other than that, I'm not part owner of the construction anymore. We have Aaron Beachy here for part of the construction. He's still the owner. He can probably tell you more what you got going around there now.
You know how many employees there are?
Yeah, I'll just turn it over to Aaron.
We have a bunch of vehicles that we park there and materials that were left over from jobs. That would be, to answer your question, Garth, kind of the activity that would be going around the property and the building. The amount of employees, I think we have around 12 employees. The majority of them do not go there on a daily basis, but there is usually perhaps one or two that would go there on a normal day.
I guess I'd be interested in the nature of the construction. You know, when we talk about our construction company, you build houses, you can build highways, build buildings. What is the nature of your construction business?
We build buildings, primarily steel buildings, pole barns, and barndominiums. Most of the time, our guys will travel from their homes to the job sites. What we have used this property for is if we have extra materials or if one of our vehicles is broke down or something that needs minor repair, we bring them to the building to work on them.
Does that require specialized equipment to build these buildings?
It does, but we usually rent them. We have skid loaders that we occasionally have at the property.
Are they stored generally inside or outside, the trucks and
Outside,
outside?
yes.
You have deliveries made to the area with like delivery vehicles or semis or anything like that?
We have minor deliveries made to the property, typically not semis. We probably have had some semi deliveries, but it's not very frequently.
What's not very frequent? Once a day, once a month, once a year,
Once a month.
once a month?
The other deliveries, are they like in box trucks and whatnot? Do they pull into your drive and deliver out to your building, or do they stop and unload out on 17th Street?
If it's like a box truck, they would drive back to the building.
I just wonder, because the information we got some pictures of two different semis unloading apparently there, and one of them was parked right in the middle of 17th, and barely room to get around it. Kind of really constricts traffic.
Have you had any input from neighbors? I mean, I drove out there too, and it's a dead-end street with a big turnaround at the end, so there are a number of people who live from Wilshire west on 17th, so have you had any input or complaints, I guess, from neighbors on 17th?
I can't think of any. I'm guessing that would be a question for Andrew, but I do believe that he has mentioned that he has heard of complaints on that. But we do try to minimize what we do there as much as possible. It's just that we do not have another facility that we can really use in some scenarios. So we have just kind of resorted to using that one.
Andrew, help me understand. You're not part of the building company any longer, but this is your property that you live on? Okay.
You indicated you originally were operating this out of your property there in Arlington, I believe. Then you moved into Hutch. Why did you move it?
I think when you got the permit to build the building, the word residence was used as part of that. Is there any residence in that building now?
There's no residence in the building. There is a residence on the property, which is the house that Andrew lives in.
So the house that I saw out near the street, that's where people live, but nobody's ever lived in the building.
No,
Do you have restroom facilities in that building?
no.
Is any part of that building used for personal reasons, or is it all construction activity?
There is an area of the building that Andrew has some of his personal stuff in, yes.
One question I'd have would be, back in June of 2023, you were sent a letter indicating the non-compliance with the zoning regulations. And apparently never responded to that letter, which then, I guess, resulted in current action Mark instituted through the courts to try to force compliance. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Why did you choose not to respond to that? You thought he was kidding or what?
I do not remember off the top of my head exactly what happened when that letter was sent.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Maybe after I've heard Mark side of the story, maybe I'll have another question for the applicant. But
Okay.
right now, not right now.
It's fair. Okay, seeing none, we'll hear from the staff.
Mark Von Atchen, County Planner. For the sake of the public hearing and audience members, I'll kind of go over the timeline. A lot of that is in the report, but I feel it's important that everybody kind of hear the timeline on this. We're looking at a conditional use permit for a proposed and existing construction company, but also a minor vehicle repair business as indicated in the application. We're looking at 17th Avenue. Now, 17th Avenue does dead end right here, so this is not a through street. The north-south road is North Wilshire Drive with Reno Valley Middle School located at the southeast corner. You can't really see it on the map, but it'd be right over there. So this is a highly residential area. All the properties to the east of the one highlighted in purple are used for residential purposes. There's either houses on there or the potential for a house to be located on that property. As you heard, it was an existing construction company. The report, application did not talk much about what was meant by a minor vehicle repair business. You kind of heard some testimony here about what is involved with that type of business. However, it was noted in the application, so it gave me the sense that they were doing vehicle repairs to other customers out there. And you see a lot of my report was detailing, what is involved with that. Company vehicles are parked on that property. Building materials are also delivered to that property on average about twice a month according to that that application. The building materials are also stored on that property, and I'll be able to show you some additional pictures of that storage area. As was noted here before, on January 5th of 2021, Mr. Andrew Beachy had applied to the Board of Zoning Appeals to be able to construct a 50 by 72 by 16 foot high residential shed. Now, for the record, the following two paragraphs are taken from the approved minutes of that, and for the benefit of the audience. Andrew Beachy, 3108 West 17th Avenue, Hutchinson, 67502, proposes to construct a 50 by 72 by 16 foot accessory building. He would like an enclosed building to work on and park his truck. He would also complete other residential tasks inside the building. He plans to build a man cave, quote unquote, for leisure activities. He does not have an enclosed accessory building on his property, and he will use this one for storage and as a climate-controlled workspace. My staff report at the time for the BZA hearing also noted that in a phone conversation with Mr. Beachy discussing the application and the public hearing procedure, he indicated he operates a construction business out of the single-family dwelling. Staff discussed with Mr. Beachy the specifics of the business and the difference between a home occupation business and a business requiring a conditional use permit. Mr. Beachy understands that using the proposed residential building for his business is a violation of these zoning regulations. Storing work trucks, construction equipment, constructing building components, or constructing materials is not permitted within the building and would be considered a zoning violation. Then, on February 18th, the BZA voted 6-0 to approve the special exception, giving him permission to build that building. A few days later, staff issued a zoning permit to construct that building out there on the property as directed by the BZA. Now, I would note here, not included in my report, but the zoning permit does say that there was going to be one bathroom installed in that building. If you looked at my zoning permit, the CUP application says there are no bathrooms in that building right now. On June 2nd, 2023, staff started receiving complaints from neighbors that lived in that neighborhood area about the activities that were going on inside that building and around that building. Did a site inspection of that, and you have a picture of that site inspection included in your packet. Understood that there was some construction activities going on there that was not permitted by the planning commission or through a conditional use permit application. So on June 29th, a violation letter was written accusing Mr. Beachy of operating a construction company only at that time. It wasn't until the application for the conditional use was presented that I learned that there was also quote-unquote minor vehicle repairs going on. After that, due to the lack of the owner's cooperation, the county had to file a lawsuit against Mr. Beachy seeking him to either apply for a conditional use permit or cease operation of that construction company on that property. Right now, that lawsuit is still active, but it's on hold pending the outcome ultimately by the county commissioners on this case right now. So everything is on hold. We're not going to pursue that until we have a resolution on this conditional use permit. The next section of the report talks about applicable requirements here. With the size of that building, 12 parking spaces are required. If you look at his site plan that is shown there, right now I'm unsure of how many vehicles can be parked within those red box areas that he is showing. I requested a site plan that would show all 12 parking spaces, but that is the site plan that I did receive from the applicant. Staff does not believe that there will be any drainage concerns should the conditional use permit be approved. This is a 6 acre parcel of ground, so we shouldn't have any issues on that end. Regulations also require one loading space be installed with a construction company like that. Mr. Beachy has requested a waiver of that request, stating that he doesn't need to have a loading space as defined by our zoning regulations. Moving on, the last part of my report here, it talks about the factors that the board must use when considering a conditional use permit. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I would like to highlight several of them here. And of course, I'll stand for any clarification should the board have anything. Number 2 here is whether the location of the proposed use is compatible to other land uses in that surrounding area. And as you can see, most, if not all, of the parcels are used for residential purposes. The areas highlighted in green are actually zoned agricultural and are agricultural fields capable of also putting a single-family dwelling on them should they desire to, but the majority of the properties are used for residential purposes. I'd like to point out, that there is no approved commercial or industrial activities anywhere along that side of the road. That's not to say that there's maybe something occurring out there, but nothing has been approved by conditional use permit. Everything is supposed to be residential in nature out there. I believe that this parcel, utilizing it as a construction company, is not really a compatible use for that surrounding area, but for the fact that it's a dead-end road. All the activities have to travel through that residential area and go out to Wilshire to get out of that area. And so having a construction company with delivery trucks, numerous employees going down that dead-end road is not a compatible use. The fourth factor in here is whether the proposed use is made necessary or desirable because of changed or changing conditions. Again, I don't believe that there's any indication that the area is transitioning to commercial. And this is again where I stated that if there are other commercial activities occurring on that stretch of road, they're being done illegally right now. And so staff concludes that the proposed use is not made necessary or desirable because of any kind of changed or changing conditions. Number 6, I kind of want to discuss with the board a little bit. You might have had some questions on that one. It's whether the applicant's property is suitable for the proposed use. I just kind of want to point out that this factor really only deals with like the size of the property. It doesn't necessarily deal with the land use that is occurring on that property. What this factor really looks at is there enough land on that property to be able to operate effectively a construction company or any other type of proposed land use? And my answer to that was yes, I believe that there is enough land available where a construction company or other type of land use could potentially be operating on there. However, you also have to take into consideration the location of that parcel. So for that reason, even though the area in that parcel may be compatible for a type of construction company, where it's located is not compatible. And so I just kind of want to make that clarification when you read that. We're just looking at that factor and looking at the size of that parcel. So for example, if you had a quarter of an acre parcel and you wanted to operate a big construction company, well, that's probably not something that property is going to be suitable for that use. Number 7 talks about the comprehensive plan. You can see in there that there are several areas of our comprehensive plan which would indicate that this type of land use in this location is not compatible with our comprehensive plan. Part of those is encouraging businesses to look first to cities, to assist in identifying appropriate sites for businesses and industrial growth. The primary focus should be really to develop sites within the existing cities and not in the rural areas of the county. We also want to try through our comprehensive plan to minimize land use incompatibilities to ensure that adjacent developments are comparable in density and quality. And there's other ones in there that you can read, in my report. With that, I think I will conclude my presentation with the factors. Like I say, there's other factors in here that you can read where I believe that this land use is not compatible with that surrounding area. And so therefore, with that, staff is recommending denial of this request based off of the 9 factors that you see listed in my staff report. And I think it's important to note, and you may see that in my report, that my recommendation is really based off of the land use right now, it's not based off the fact that this is an existing business that's in violation right now. My recommendation would be really the same regardless if the business is operating right now or if it's something that's being proposed before operating. And so I would feel the same way if this was a vacant parcel and Mr. Beachy wanted to come in and propose a new construction company. I just don't think a construction company is an appropriate land use on that site. I do have some pictures of the area that I can go through. Somebody have a question?
So is that another way of saying if the current activity would have been put on the original application, that at that time the conditional use permit would have been denied?
Yeah. My recommendation would be the same if it was a brand-new application, like say vacant parcel or parcel with a house, and he came to me with this type of proposal. My recommendation would be the same. My recommendation, I wanted to clarify, it's not based off the fact that we are currently have an operating business without a conditional use permit. The zoning violation is written, and now he's trying to get it in compliance, and so my recommendation would not change if this was something that was brand new being proposed right now. Again, this is his site plan that he has shown. 17th Avenue would be located to the right of the picture there. It's kind of showing you his areas where the employees park. It's also showing you in the back side of the parcel or on the north side, a large storage area where he'll store building materials on the outside. This is his site plan, another angle of it showing the existing building, showing the storage areas, and then the parking areas that would be around the building. This is a fairly current picture from February of 2024 showing the actual parcel in question and the building that was constructed several years ago. You can see the numerous houses that are located to the east of there, and then, of course, the school that's in the southeast corner. This is a highly residential area, both north on Wilshire, and even if you go a little bit further to the south, there's another residential subdivision that's down there. But mainly all the traffic has to come from that intersection and go west to that building, so you're traveling through that whole entire residential area. A little bit closer view of the property there. The little blue smudge you see there is a stack of building trusses that are covered up in plastic. And then in the back side, you'll see that there is a semi-trailer and some other lumber storage areas that are in the back, and I'll have some different pictures of that as well. This is the back side of the property, so this will be looking to the south. Oh, time out.
Car, man.
Oh.
I think it's very stupid, this man
I don't
jumping.
know why it does that. Sorry about that.
All right, I got something for you, homie. I got something for you. Why not? No, you like what?
All right.
This might be better.
Your interest might not be.
Me too, right.
Russian hack.
I don't have a Russian.
I know.
I'll try and fix that, and I can come back up. I'd say let's continue with the public hearing on that if you want. If you have any further questions for me right now before you move to public comment.
I have a question. I think I know in our comprehensive plan that the small office, home office kind of operation is okay. Say an accountant who works out of his home. So how do you kind of thread the needle between what's okay there? Maybe that accountant has occasional clients that comes to their house, doesn't have any employees. Where's kind of the tipping point?
So the regulations will for a home occupation type business will permit one additional employee that does not live there to be able to travel to that site and work out of that home. It also says that you should have no more than like 5 people receive those services out there. So a home occupation has got to be something that if you drove by the property, you're not going to notice that any type of business is going to be run out of that home. And so the tipping point is really when you start having multiple employees drive down a road. And it doesn't have to be a dead-end road. You have that. You're storing materials outside. You're building materials out there. You're constructing portions of the shed, and then you're hauling those on large trucks out to different job sites. So that is way beyond what a home occupation is. Typically, our regulations don't go that far, but home occupations usually will occur inside of an actual home. And so if Mr. Beachy wants to run the business side of things, the accounting end of things out of the home, there's no issues with that. That's not what the current violation is about. It's about utilizing that building for the construction company.
Any other questions for staff?
Thank you.
If there's anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this case, you may have 5 minutes to comment. Please come forward to the podium one at a time and state your name and address for the record before commenting. Audience members are only permitted to address the Planning Commission from the podium. Audience members are permitted only one time at the podium. In the interest of time, if you agree with the comments previously made by audience members, please don't repeat the comments. Simply state that you agree with previous comments and then present new information to the Planning Commission. Statements and questions should only be directed to the Planning Commission, not the applicant or staff. The Planning Commission may choose not to answer questions or engage with the public. Questions regarding the application can be asked to the Planning Commission and answered by the applicant during the rebuttal phase of this public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to comment? Please state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is John Troyer, and I live on West 17th. The main reason most of the residents, which I went and had, I think I've got 15 signatures of people that do not want this conditional use permit issued. I agree with Mr. Vonachim. The biggest thing is the significant increase in our traffic up and down the road. The semis, the gooseneck trailers, our road is if it rains, it's a disaster. The heavy equipment, the increase in traffic is the biggest part. I can't document, I've got a couple of pictures of when it rained and they pulled the gooseneck down and it just splatters it everywhere. That's kind of, I agree with Mr. Vonachim. It's like, and I think we were kind of led astray, or else we would have opposed the building being built to start with, because as soon as it got built, it started being used as construction, so. Any questions for me?
Appreciate you coming.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Collingmore. I live on 3100 West 17. I'm here to plea that you do not let this conditional permit go through. Their employees treat our road like it's their personal race course. They drive up and down our road 60, 70 miles an hour, creating dust, dirt. We have children that live on the street. At any time, the child could walk out in the street and get ran over. We have construction vehicles constantly up and down the road, beachy, construction trucks coming up and down the road. We have semi-deliveries. We have commercial trash trucks coming up and down the road. This used to be a nice place to live. It is no longer so, because of the traffic that has been created by this construction company. I don't like my kids or my grandkids to play in my front yard because of the fact that I am scared to death that they will get ran over. If they lose control of one of these trailers that has their pieces of equipment on it because they're driving so fast, it's going to cause a big problem for every resident on that road. And as Mr. Troyer presented, we have talked to the township, and the township cannot maintain our road because of their vehicles that constantly tear it up. If it rains, we have a little bit of rain, if we have snow, they drive their trucks up and down the road. We have ruts that are 6 to 8 to foot deep from these vehicles. And there's days where I've had to go to work, I've had to use my four-wheel drive to get down my road, which should not have to happen. The constant up and down traffic at all hours of the day, on the weekends, all hours of the evenings, they have four-wheelers that they go up and down the road. I have actually gone out and asked them to please stop taking their four-wheelers up and down the road. The guy turned around, gassed it, and covered me in rocks. One of his employees. I can't tolerate this, and I don't think anybody on the road wants to tolerate it anymore. This has turned our road, our neighborhood, into a place nobody wants to be. We don't want to live there if this is going to continue on. It's a hard place to live when you have a constant flow of traffic, commercial vehicles and such. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
I'm Karen Troyer, hadn't really planned on talking. The only thing, I agree with everything that's been said, and if perchance this conditional permit was allowed, I would like to ask the commission, what are they going to do to help maintain our road? Because that's huge. I mean, I understand this gentleman has a livelihood and he's trying to do his business. I have to agree, it appears to me that he misrepresented from the very beginning what his intent was, but we can't go backwards, we can only go forwards. So going forward, I personally would like to see it no longer being that busy dirt road. And if it is going to be that busy, what's going to be done to maintain it so it returns to a condition prior to the use since whatever year they said, 2021. I mean, dirt roads are never perfect. We all know that. However, it just continually is getting worse. And as they've said, they talked to the maintainer guy, I don't. It's difficult to keep it in a condition. Sure, it's passable. Yes, it's drivable. No, it's ugly during the rain and probably during snow and whatever. So it's the road conditions caused by this increased traffic, and the increased traffic not being just personal vehicles, but the semis that do come with the trusses and or the heavy equipment. So that's what I would like the commission to also consider is the road and how are we going to maintain it to an acceptable standard. Thank you.
Does the applicant wish to rebut any of the statements made? If so, you have 2 minutes. And additional time may be allotted at the discretion of the chair. Do you have any more comments? Okay. Staff, do you have any additional comments?
If the board would permit me, I'll continue with some of my slides. I have a few more slides, if you permit me a little bit more time here. So this, as we were stating earlier, this is the backside of the property. You can see right here in the corner, there's the gooseneck trailer that was mentioned in the application. The long one is a semi-trailer, and then you can see a scattering of lumber and trusses that are on the back side of the property, probably not visible from the road, but it is on the property. This is going to be a picture looking to the east, and so Wilshire Drive is going to be at the top of the screen. And again, you can see the gooseneck trailer, you can see the semi-trailer, and you can see all kinds of lumber that is scattered about the property. This is the actual picture that was included in the staff report. This is when I went out and took the violation picture. You can see there are numerous vehicles parked out in front, and then you can see a delivery of trusses that are sitting in the front of that property right there. Very old picture, but taken in 2007. This is the latest one that Google Earth has, but this shows you the road and the road width of 17th Avenue. That is looking back to the east toward Wilshire Drive. And then this is the same picture turned around looking to the west at the cul-de-sac. You can see that the road dead ends right there at the levee. And then the last pictures, I believe, were included in your packet. These are pictures of the semi-deliveries that are occurring on that property. So, lastly, I would add that just a few hours ago, I did go to the Secretary of State's website, and I printed off the business registration license, and there is a company by the name of Wichita Commercial Roofing LLC with an office in Wichita on Ridge Road, but then it also lists a registered office at 3108 West 17th Street in Hutchinson. And the next reporting due date is April 15th of 2025. So it shows that the business is still active on that property. So with that, I would conclude my comments, and I officially don't really have any rebuttal statements to the board, unless you have further questions for me. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I said after I gathered all the data from the residents out there, I might have another question for the applicant. And I guess my question kind of goes like this, is that you received a letter on in June of 23 outlining that there was concern from Reno County, and this is kind of a repeat of Mr. Seltzer's question, but I want to bring it back to the surface and see if you wanted to add any more data, because over a year has passed and you've chosen to not respond to the county's inquiry to you. Anything you'd like to share with us around that?
I think that I should have taken action at that time and discontinued the business, traffic, and operations at the facility.
Any other questions for applicant or staff?
Well, I guess I would like to say, it may be hard to think about this as a good problem, but it sounds like their business has grown, maybe perhaps more than they originally anticipated. I don't think it does any good to go back and try to understand what was happening before, but clearly it's turned out differently than was originally understood, and I hope that's because their business is growing. And so I guess for me, it's time to find a different location with the success that they're having.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Acceptance or denial of rezone or conditional use permit must be based on the factors that are listed in the staff report and found on the audience chairs. At this time, the planning commission can discuss this case and ask procedural questions of staff only.
Mark, what happens if our decision is to concur with your decision to deny the permit? I know that this lawsuit is on hold. What's the timeline for allowing this situation to be corrected?
Well, the recommendation will go to the county commissioners, and if they uphold the recommendation or reverse your direction, then, so for example, if it is denied ultimately by the county commissioners, and then they'll have to cease operation, immediately out there. I mean, that's the end of it. It has to end. If it doesn't end, then the lawsuit is going to go forward, and we'll keep pressing on the lawsuit until, it ends and we get, justice through the court system. And so, now if he tells me, that I need 15, 30 days, we'll note that in the record, and that'll be presented to the judge. But it's all through the court system right now. It's out of my hands, really. It's all at whatever the court wants right now. If the court wants to grant him 15, 30, 60 days to cease operation, that's up to the court. It's not up to me. We're going to press forward until the business ends out there, if it's denied.
Any other discussion?
Well, the fact that the homeowner doesn't own the business anymore really makes it commercial rental, whether any rent's being paid or not. But it's just not it's not even any kind of a home occupation anymore.
Right.
Like several other members of the board, I went out, drove around, I did a quick look of the site and several of the other little suburban subdivision neighborhoods in the area. And I couldn't find any other similar type of land use in the little neighborhoods there, between Hutchinson and the K-96 bypass. And so, setting aside any of the history of this property or how we got to this point at this specific point in time, it doesn't really look like a land use that exists in this neighborhood or any of the other similar neighborhoods in the area. And I don't really see those township roads aren't really designed for a commercial rental, in my opinion. I don't think it's a good fit for the neighborhood.
I'm a firm believer in being able to do what you want to do on your property, but I'm also a firm believer in being good neighbors. I'm going to echo what Alan said. It just does not fit. I'll tag on to Jack a little bit too. He said with a business owner not owning the property, that just doesn't feel right. Feels much like a commercial piece of property. So I just don't think that fits within that piece also. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that case number 2024-11, request by Andrew Beachy, applicant Aaron Beachy, requesting conditional use permit from Reno County zoning regulations to bring an existing construction company and minor vehicle repair business into compliance on a parcel of land zone R1 Rural Residential District be denied based on the 9 factors listed in the staff report and as heard at this public hearing.
I second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, staff, please call the roll.
Shortfager,
No?
Strand,
No. Yes.
Schaefer.
So yes is deny the,
The motion was to deny the
Deny.
conditional use permit, so if you say yes, then it's
it's in agreement,
in
right?
agreement with the motion to deny.
Can I change mine?
I don't think you can officially, but yeah, we can know for the record if you want afterward, but yeah.
Okay.
So yes.
So the motion is to deny, so yes. Seltzer,
Yes.
Macklin,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Gertson.
Yes. Motion to deny carries.
Did you want your change noted?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that
Okay. Is there any other business that needs to be brought before this board?
I do not have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Just
Commissioners? Anything else? Don, do you have anything? You're pretty quiet tonight.
He wasn't quiet,
He wasn't quiet, okay.
were you?
Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?